What if I told you there's a court that exists to hold the most powerful people on Earth accountable? For crimes so serious, they're considered crimes against all of humanity. A court that doesn't belong to any single nation. One that's been operating in The Hague, Netherlands, for over 20 years, and most of us have no idea it exists. This is the International Criminal Court, and the legal document that created it? It's one of the most important pieces of international law we're not talking about. Let's change that. Here's the central problem it was designed to solve. When a government commits atrocities, genocide, mass murder, systematic rape as a weapon of war, who prosecutes them? Historically, almost nobody. Because of a principle called sovereignty, the idea that nations are above international law. But what happens inside a country's borders is that country's business alone. Which sounds fair in theory, but in practice it meant governments could massacre their own people with impunity. Warlords could orchestrate ethnic cleansing and walk free. The most serious crimes imaginable went unpunished, not because evidence didn't exist, but because there was no mechanism to try them. That changed when the world watched what happened in Rwanda in 1994 and Bosnia in the 1990s. Thousands killed, international community watching helplessly. And so in 1998, delegations from 120 countries gathered in Rome, Italy, with a radical idea. What if we created a court that transcends borders? A court without loyalty to any single nation. The Rome Statute was born. On July 17, 1998, the Rome Statute was adopted. It entered into force 4 years later, on July 1st, 2002. Today, 123 countries are members. Not all of them, but enough to make it real. The statute itself. It's beautifully simple in concept, brutally complex in practice. The preamble sets the tone. It says every state has a duty to prosecute international crimes. But when they won't or can't, that's where the ICC steps in. The statute is divided into 13 parts. But the heart of it, the reason it exists, is contained in Part 2, jurisdiction, admissibility, and applicable law. That's where the 4 crimes that matter live. 1. Genocide, Article 6. The intent to destroy a group in whole or in part, based on nationality, ethnicity, religion, or race. 2. Crimes against humanity, Article 7. Widespread or systematic attacks on civilians. Murder, enslavement, torture, forced displacement, rape. 3. War crimes, Article 8. Violations of the laws of war, attacking civilians, destroying cultural heritage, using child soldiers, employing prohibited weapons. 4. Crime of aggression, Article 8 bis. One state's unprovoked military attack on another. This one took until 2018 to activate. These aren't crimes against your nation. They're crimes against humanity itself. And that distinction matters because it means prosecution isn't about politics. It's about human dignity. Here's what you need to understand. The ICC doesn't have police. It has no army. It can't raid countries or arrest people. What it has is legitimacy and jurisdiction. Here's how it actually functions. The trigger mechanisms. There are 3 ways a case reaches the ICC. 1. State party referral. If a country is a member of the Rome Statute and a crime has been committed within its territory or by one of its nationals, that country's government can refer the situation to the ICC prosecutor. Example, Uganda self-referred in 2003. So did the Democratic Republic of Congo, Libya, and Kenya. 2. UN Security Council referral. The Security Council can refer a situation, even if the country isn't an ICC member. This is how the situation in Sudan's Darfur region reached the court. even though Sudan wasn't a member. 3. The prosecutor acts independently. The ICC prosecutor can independently open investigations into situations where crimes appear to have been committed. This is the most controversial power and the rarest. But it happened in 2019 when the prosecutor opened investigations into the situation in Palestine, and in 2022 into Ukraine. Now here's the crucial thing. The ICC doesn't just take every case. Article 17, admissibility, creates a filter. Before the ICC can proceed, it must determine whether a case is actually inadmissible. And a case is inadmissible if the country where the crime occurred is investigating and prosecuting in good faith, or the person has already been tried for the same conduct. This is called complementarity. The idea: domestic courts get first shot. The ICC is the court of last resort. Which sounds good in theory, but in practice, it means the ICC can't touch cases where a powerful nation is investigating, but not really prosecuting. Once a case gets past the filter, the office of the prosecutor conducts an investigation. They gather evidence, interview witnesses, work with national authorities who cooperate. Then the prosecutor files charges. A pre-trial chamber decides if there's probable cause that a crime occurred. If yes, an arrest warrant is issued. But here's the problem. The ICC can't enforce the warrant itself. It relies on member states to arrest the suspect and transfer them to The Hague, which creates an enormous loophole. A sitting president indicted for crimes against humanity can simply not travel to an ICC member state, and often they don't. If the suspect is arrested and brought to court, a full trial proceeds, with prosecuting lawyers, defense counsel, and 3 judges. The standard of proof: beyond a reasonable doubt, same as any serious criminal trial. If convicted, sentencing ranges from 5 years to life imprisonment. The statute says there is no statute of limitations, meaning time never runs out. Convictions can be appealed. Here's what keeps international justice advocates awake at night. The Rome Statute is brilliant, but it's also profoundly broken in specific ways. Missing piece number 1, the Security Council veto. Remember Article 16. The Security Council can defer an investigation for 12 months. It can keep deferring indefinitely. In practice, this means if Russia or China wants to protect an ally, they veto referral to the ICC. Syria can't be referred. The Assad regime's crimes against humanity. The Security Council, divided along geopolitical lines, has never referred them. Same with Iraq. Same with many others. So the ICC can prosecute some powerful nations' crimes, but not others. This creates a 2-tiered system of justice. Missing piece number 2, the global ratification problem. Only 123 countries have ratified the Rome Statute. Notably absent: United States, Russia, China, India, Israel, Turkey, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. When a country isn't a member, the ICC can only prosecute crimes committed on the territory of a member state or by members' nationals, unless the Security Council steps in. This means the ICC has limited reach, its legitimacy is questioned, and powerful nations can stay outside its jurisdiction. Missing piece number 3, the arrest warrant problem. The ICC issues arrest warrants. Member states are legally obligated to enforce them, but do they? In 2023, the ICC issued a warrant for Vladimir Putin for war crimes in Ukraine. Russia ignored it, so did China, so did many non-aligned countries. More critically, in 2009, the ICC indicted Sudan's sitting president, Omar al-Bashir, for genocide in Darfur. He remained in power. Multiple ICC member states he visited didn't arrest him. The Rome Statute assumes states will cooperate. Often, they don't. Missing piece number 4, the complementarity loophole. Article 17 says, if a state is genuinely prosecuting, the ICC can't touch the case. The problem, genuinely prosecuting is vague. A state can claim to be investigating, conduct a sham trial, acquit the perpetrator, and the ICC's hands are tied. Example, a government doesn't want to prosecute its own military for war crimes. It runs a fake investigation, declares the suspects innocent, and the perpetrators walk free. Under Article 17, the ICC often can't override this. Missing piece number 5, the scope limitation. The ICC can only prosecute 4 crimes. Serious ones, yes. But what about ecocide, massive environmental destruction that harms populations? Torture as a standalone crime. It's covered under crimes against humanity, but not independently. Terrorism, deliberately excluded because there's no global agreement on what it means. These gaps mean entire categories of atrocity can slip through the cracks. Now you're probably thinking, okay, the ICC is broken in specific ways, but why should I care? Here's why. First, it's a tool you can use. Right now, young people around the world are using the Rome Statute. In Palestine, in Myanmar, in Ukraine, they're documenting crimes, gathering evidence, building cases so that when accountability becomes possible, the evidence is ready. You can do the same. Second, it represents an idea we're still building. The Rome Statute isn't perfect, but 25 years ago it didn't exist. The idea that the world's most powerful people could be held accountable. That didn't exist either. Every ratification of the Rome Statute by a new country strengthens it. Every conviction, however rare, sets precedent. Third, it's a mirror for where we actually are. The gaps in the Rome Statute aren't bugs, they're features of the world we actually live in. A world where power matters, where geopolitics intrude, where impunity is still possible. Recognizing those gaps means you can work to close them. Here's what you can do. 1. Know the Rome Statute. Share it. Talk about it with people in your life. 2. If you see a situation where crimes against humanity are occurring, document it. Gather evidence. Organizations like Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International exist to help. 3. Advocate for your country to join the ICC if it hasn't. Push for transparency. Demand accountability. 4. Understand the limits. The ICC isn't a magic solution, but it's infrastructure, and infrastructure is what justice systems are built on. The Rome Statute is proof that the world can agree on something. That we can say, certain acts are crimes against humanity, and they matter more than borders. The future isn't determined, it's built by people who know the tools available to them. The Rome Statute is one of those tools. Use it